Sex and the Widow.
Sex and the Widow.
Oh, and here we are, everybody. It's episode 7. Sex. I mean, I know it's like, come on that fast. I was like, sometimes it takes forever. Sometimes it's. Yeah, I need recording. I know that already, lady. Hi.
I do know.
I do know. I know I'm alive. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the And Just Like That Aftershow here on JLJ Media. I'm JLJ of JLJ Media. And of course, she's back. My co-host, Emily May Heller. Hello, Emily May.
Hi.
And so now the chat room is open. So come on in. The water's fine. And let's talk about the seventh episode of this reboot series. I'm sorry, I'm really enjoying it. I mean, I'm really enjoying it. And this episode, Emily, I completely laughed out loud many times. It felt like a classic episode. What do you think?
I finished watching it because I have to watch it separately because it's my time to watch. It was my favorite episode so far.
Me too.
Of this series.
Me too. It's really, we're going to break it down piece by piece, but it was really hilarious. Parts were hilarious.
Yeah, it did feel like that. I felt like I was like back watching, like you said, watching the old episodes. I felt like it was back kind of that the original TV series. It was very nostalgic and had those moments, the awkward moments, the moments that make you laugh, the moments that kind of like, oh man, make you cringe in a good way when you're like, oh God.
Yes, and Emily May and I both talked about this last week. We're very protective of the show, as you know. I love the original series. Hello, Dolores L. Hello, glad she's good. Happy to see us both. Yes, we're both here. But no, it was completely. I was worried. I'm like, well, but the last couple episodes were, to me, true Sex and the City episodes. So I'm very happy. Okay, we're going to start off with, we had a very clever way to show passing of the seasons. Now, seeing her in that classic show, they played a song called Spring Is Here, and it was your favorite episode too, Dolores. I know, yeah, it was really good. Showing her in front of the window, the famous window, in the famous apartment, I started smiling already. Now, we didn't know she was writing. I know she was writing a book. I thought she was doing, but I remember she doesn't have a column anymore. It hit me like, someone column anymore. So they show the seasons changing. So now we're in spring. So it goes through a couple of the seasons, past through fall, past through winter. I thought it was really interesting, Emily, when he stopped at winter, she was sad.
Yeah. I mean, well, I loved this moment because it felt very New York. I felt like it was New York kind of like embracing Carrie, kind of like, again, being that character. And this was like, we've seen her right in that window hundreds and hundreds of times. Yes. So it felt like home. I was like, I know this beginning. And we've seen the seasons change. And I like the juxtaposition of the winter. We saw the snow, but the song reminded me of Big because it was like playing on a record. It kind of had that dancing in New York kind of feel on the streets of New York. And it was important to see that transition, to see the passing of time.
I completely agree. Everything you said, I agree. It did feel like home. It's just about that window. It's that window. I mean, the original series showed that window so many times. It's just like, it just felt so familiar. I thought, okay, we should have a good episode then. And that was the thing that we should have a really good episode. I wrote that I felt like old times. So I wrote down, it felt like old times. So I did love that. Love the song. Turns out, of course, they always find the funniest supporting cast, guest cast that are very New York. Because my family's from New York. I'm in New York, right? All this stuff. Amanda, the book editor, hilarious. So she wrote a book about this raw dark book about being after finding the love of your life and then he dies. And the editor brings up, and once again, well, you're the girl known for being Sex and the City. I almost forgot she wrote books. I almost forgot.
Yeah, she did in the other, because didn't she get a book deal at the end of the series, right?
Yes, she did.
And so the movies were about her, like how, and then we learned she wrote multiple books.
Yes,
and kind of compiled all of her articles and things like that.
Yes.
So yeah, it's interesting that she took a little turn, and editors are so funny. And I feel like this editor was kind of that stereotypical New York editor, like, oh, hey, we want the light and fun, but whoa, it got dark.
Yes, and she said we want, but it made total sense as an editor standpoint. Going, you're known for the Hope Girl. You always gave, you're about dating stuff, and And I thought it was a great introduction, a great way to get her to start dating again. It was a nice little choice. Like, well, it's for the book. It's kind of for the book. I got to,
exactly.
So that was cute. And I understand it could be an epilogue thing just at the end of the book that and I said, okay, I see where they're going with this. And it makes sense. It totally makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, no, it made sense. And like, I love how they threw in like Oprah's book club. Like, okay, well, like put an extra incentive, right? To make it, it's like, well, I kind of have to, Oprah told me to go on a date.
Yes.
I got to do it.
That was hilarious. So then we switched to Charlotte and LW.
Poor Charlotte. Charlotte is just a mess.
She made me laugh so hard this episode too. So they're playing tennis. So her and her Charlotte twin, they both alike. Those two older women had me laughing. Oh my God, they were so funny. They're just hilarious. I thought it was just kind of funny. I forgot Charlotte plays tennis. That was the whole Trey thing. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, she plays tennis, and like she makes a big thing about it all the time.
Yes, all the time. I forgot what they were saying. So again, they're reaching back and they're bringing. It makes sense. It totally makes sense that she would continue doing that stuff. Then they go to Miranda and Steve, because you brought up Steve last time. So Steve, you got your Steve girl. I
know. I was so excited. Of course, Miranda has to be yelling at him on the phone, and I was like, "Is this the way that we're gonna try to figure this out?" I was like, "Steve's back. Thank goodness I can figure out what's going on here."
Yeah, I thought of you. Totally thought of you.
Thank you.
Said, Steve's back. Oh my God, you're on the phone. Dolores asked, wasn't it too soon to start dating? Well, I mean, at this point, because time has passed. Remember, time has passed.
Has it been like 6 months? Because I think it was
so, right? I think so.
I don't know. Has it been a year, you think, or 6 months?
Yeah, I was wondering, has it been a year yet? I can't tell. I want to say 6 months to a year. It's like
because it's only been a few seasons. I think that opening, it was spring and then winter it was winter and then spring. So maybe it was like 4 months or something.
It was fall, winter, spring.
Yeah.
So
3 seasons. So 6. So September through March.
Okay. That's
maybe.
Okay.
New York, a New York spring.
Yeah, I don't know, right? But no, it's about 6 months or so. I mean, I think. Well, I mean, maybe it is too soon. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if it's a year, maybe. I mean, everybody's different, right? I mean, they were together for so long. I mean, I don't know. I mean, is there ever a right time for her to start dating?
I mean, I know people that never like dated for like 15 years after.
Me too.
So how do you even?
And
some jump in. So they say that, especially if you look at couples that have been married 60 years, right? And they say usually couples and widows or widowers that have been super happily married for a really long time, they jump into a partnership right away. They jump into a relationship right away because they were so happy. They want that again.
Yes.
They want that companionship and that company again. So I'm not saying Carrie wasn't happy, but I think, she's still in the processing phase.
I agree. And there was that. I've heard the same thing where I got friends who married a year, like 6 months a year. I go, well, my mother's stepdad did that after his wife died. He got married within 6 months after she died, but they had known each other and they were older. They're like, why waste time? There's always that.
Exactly. There's no time. Yeah. If you've been married 60 years, you only have so much time.
Yes. So just do it. But anyway, so I don't know. So Dolores, I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on the thing. But so Miranda at the farmer's market, very Miranda at the farmer's market. So he runs into, and Steve can't hear. He has the hearing aids. He can't hear.
Oh my God.
I've been there. Even without the hearing aids, I'm at this entrance, not the other. I don't know if you've been there too.
No, I've been there where I'm like, where are you? I mean, the fact that he's like tripping on things and he's awkward and he can't figure out where he's going. I mean, that's my life. I mean, I'm so Steve in some ways where I'm not saying I'm fully Steve, but I'm saying there's moments where I'm like super clumsy and like, who am I?
I love it. Oh, I do. I love it.
So I kind of empathize with him where I'm like, oh, he's just trying to get by.
He said when it moves, which farmers markets do, they move stuff around. He's like, this used to be, and that used to be. I totally get that. No, I totally get that.
Okay, like you have your vendors that you go to every Saturday, and if they're in the wrong spot or if they're not there, you're thrown off.
Yes, I agree. I agree with that. I do agree with that. But Naya's there with her husband Andre. They're a nice couple. We're getting more and more of them. And so when Andre goes off for the cheese, she mentions that she had her period, and so they've been trying, but it's not really working. and she confides in her about this, which later on is a funny scene we'll talk about later. It comes up because of it, but she mentions it to her, and they commiserate for a little bit, and it's fine. So so now we're setting everything up, getting everything set up, for the show. Okay, so Carrie goes back to the book place, sees Amanda, and they show the book cover. So it's called, folks, if you didn't catch it, it's called A Memoir, Love and Loss.
Oh, let's talk about that title. Is the worst. And that book cover is awful.
I know.
First of all, why not put the person that wrote it on the cover?
Yes.
She has a fabulous fashion sense. You need to do a photo shoot.
I know.
Come on, editor 101.
That was so funny. When she's like, we like the cover. They show it. It's like, is it like it's gray and it's water and rocks? Yeah. Oh, like, so I shouldn't like it.
So if the editor was smart, you write a book jacket and a summary that gives a little bit of hope. You put a hopeful cover of her like all happy.
Yes.
And
your cat just joined us.
I know.
Like, sure, okay. I saw ears.
She wants to join. Yes. And then you can surprise them with like the intensity in the emotion, right? I was like, it's all about packaging it.
I have,
this editor I need to talk to.
Yes. So I write songs, and I have several songs that are real angry songs, but set to dance music. It's that whole thing. You bring them in, and the message is in there. We bring them with something light and airy and bubbly, and then it brings them in. So I agree with Emily on that one. But Carrie was just saying, "Oh my God, like this seems just so heavy. Maybe I should. Maybe," and she said something that's very real. Maybe I just wrote it out of my system, like for me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, No, I was going to say it's like that letter that you always write, but to an ex or to anyone really that you just kind of put in a drawer.
Yes, I agree. You don't send it out; you just write it. My friend always says, we need the iron mitts to carry because it's so hot. You put it away. And that's it. But she was like, but then the editor was like, well, no, actually, which I would have said to her too, a lot of folks can relate to this probably. You need this needs to go out. Just give them the glimmer of hope at the end. So it's not just like, whatever. So, and then she mentions the Oprah book club again. So it's like the Oprah thing got her going. So that was good. And then the ladies meet up with Seema is joining them this time. So I think keep rotating someone in. That's kind of cute each time.
Yeah. Do you feel like that's like replacing Samantha a little bit?
Well, they have Seema comes for lunch sometimes. Anthony's in there sometimes. I feel like they're trying to. 4 is better than 3. I think also we're producers. I think seeing 4 people just looks better than 3 people. I think.
And it's also, and I noticed that the 4th person that they're bringing on brings a different kind of dynamic because you're going to get the same dynamic with the 3 of them, like the 3 original. Yes. And then you got to throw in that 4th person. So I like how it's a little bit different. Yes,
the 4th person actually determines the tone of the conversation. It seems like, but if you think of back in the day, it was each of one of the 4 who determined it. But this time, you said we know the 3 already. Kind of, we know they're getting to it. But this 4th person, and in this case, it was like, I already got you on several apps, and that was kind of funny, the whole apps thing. And then so she already pushed her ahead already. For that, and so they swipe left or right. I'm gonna mix up. I'm getting mixed up. Swipe right on one. And I kept looking at his face, going, "Why does he look familiar to me?" His name is John Tenney. He's an actor who's been in 8,000 things. I want to say he was in Major Crimes or The Closer, one or two else, but he's been around a million things. And I was like, "Oh, I know him." So he looks like somebody that Carrie would, go for. That was kind of good.
He looked very dapper,
Yeah, in the picture, I think. So it's kind of funny. But Carrie and Miranda have their talk. They always have, the girls always have their talks when they're walking away from a meeting together. It's always one or the other. I always call it the debrief with my friends. So the little debrief. You have a group friend thing, you leave off to one person.
And you're always like texting or talking like, oh, hey, did you hear? Like, what'd you think?
Exactly, on the side. That's what we do. That's what we do. And Miranda, brings up, they use a lot of metaphors for such a Sex City thing, of course, about her and Steve being just basically dead.
Oh my God.
Just dead. And Carrie, it starts out with Carrie, which is, again, this show is so good showing, I'm their age group, so they're showing exactly what we think. And I'm telling you, she's like, do you think you'll ever have sex again? That's a major thing. I mean, she was a widow. She's in her 50s. She's like, I don't know. She's like, she's only had sex with Big for the longest time.
I mean, I love how honest it is because remember we've talked about it last time where I was so mad that Miranda was not addressing Steve. I was like, what? And now we got such a heavy Steve episode, which I think
this
was
is
really
you because you said this.
This was important. I was like, I needed to see this. And I think it's an important topic that Carrie's bringing up. Sorry, my phone's going off. Yeah, people are trying to call me. Stop calling me.
But yes, as you were saying,
so popular.
As you were saying, yes.
Yeah. So like, it is a topic. It's like, what do you do after you lose your partner for so long? Like, when do you get back into the dating pool? When like that intimacy is so much more than sex, right? And so like, when do you like kiss someone again? When do you hold someone's hand?
Right.
Like, even when do you even get close enough to someone to like, or even feel like flirty feelings or like have a little crush? Like, there's so many levels of intimacy and just like that next step that Carrie has to think about. It's not just sex. Like, sex is like way down the line, you gotta, depending on what happens, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And so I agree with everything you said there. That's a good point. And also the next thing, so there's a good juxtaposition because Miranda is representing a lot of folks who are in long time relationships where sometimes the sex dies. And where you have to actually work for it to come back, if it does come back. And Miranda brings it up, but see, Miranda also has this other thing over here. We find out she sent Che that DM. She sent and she never DM'd her back. I was like, what?
First of all, this is the one part that made me mad. First of all, she's making such a big deal, like, oh, like they haven't messaged me back. And I was like, first of all, even so back in the day, before we had text messages, you would call someone.
Yes.
And if someone didn't call you back, you'd call them again.
Right.
So why wouldn't she message them again?
Right.
That's what made Miranda look so stupid.
Yeah.
I was like, you're a smart person. You know how to do this.
Yeah. Why do you say, okay, I haven't heard from you. Hope you got my message. I sent you a message a while back.
Yeah.
I mean, like, nothing. Like, but also, their podcast is and everything. So, I mean, it was.
And they have a big podcast. They're probably getting messages from businesses and people. I mean, there's tons of messages that people don't see all the time.
Yeah, I get a ton. Trust
you get tons, or like you see it, but then you're like half paying attention, so you're busy and you walk off, and then you realize a week later you're like, oh, I forgot to message that person on. It happens.
I know it does happen,
and so. It just felt so out of touch. It felt so out of touch from Miranda's perspective.
I agree. Last thing about Miranda, we said this last week. A couple of things were like, no, that's Miranda. Miranda would be in the podcast. Like, so it's kind of so, but they were listening to you. This whole thing about they give you some Miranda this episode. They give you some Miranda and Harry this episode, and also we had Harry this episode. So you see Harry and Charlotte, not the kids, no kids, about them and their. So it's all about relationships. It was all about relationships at different stages. And it was so funny that because Harry was like kind of like, well, you never invite us to tennis. And I was like, I was like, oh, okay. She's like, oh, okay. And I got Miranda Herbert and blah, blah, blah. And so they decided to go play mixed couple tennis. I was like, okay. Had no idea where it was going to go, which we see that later. But I was like, okay, that's interesting. We get back to Naya and Andre. And they're driving. This part made me laugh so hard. They're driving. And of course, all my friends were in their cars, have all the voice stuff. And it's Miranda. I'm sorry you couldn't get Brent. She's trying to, oh my God, it was hilarious.
Oh my God. Have you had that happen before where like a text message or something pops up and you're like, oh crap.
Luckily I haven't. Thank you, Jesus. Luckily I have not. So I've been very fortunate. But I'd be scared. I'd be very scared.
I haven't had it happen in the car, but I've had it where it pops up on my phone and someone happens to be next to me or like walking by and they see something, and that's always weird.
Oh, yes.
But I haven't had anything like verbally in the car,
it's
voice
text. Yeah, I haven't either. But it was hilarious. And the part that made me laugh out loud, they almost hit this gay couple with a toddler. I'm saying toddler because that was the funniest part of it. And so there's this awkward moment in the car, like, okay, I heard this like Stephen Hawking voice like telling me that you told your student, which is she's more than a student clearly at this point. They're friends or becoming friends. But then they couldn't even deal with that because all of a sudden the one of the gay dads is oh my God, I was laughing.
Oh my God. I'm surprised he didn't. Yeah, toddler. I'm surprised he didn't throw something at her.
I know. I was laughing and he was like, is he coming for me? Is he like really coming for me? Because you have a toddler. And he went off and he goes, well, he had a toddler. And they kind of laughed. It's like that made it was so funny. It was so funny.
Well, it diffused the situation. It made it like, because it was going to turn into a big blow up, right? Oh, yeah. I could feel it. And then it kind of diffused the situation where she was like, oh, wow, I almost hit a toddler. This is a big deal. And then having him kind of freak out, they can kind of like, oh, that was funny. And
again, they just find the best supporting actors and actresses. We think it's hilarious. Oh, that was fun. Then we have the tennis match. Oh my goodness. So it's the Wexleys versus Sharon and Charlotte and Harry. And everybody's kind of off because the ladies are used to playing together. So they're both kind of off. And then Harry says to her, just go ahead and do it and whatever. And she plays hard, knocks him over, which again, I think was bad either. I just thought, okay, that was kind of funny, whatever. And later he's like, I was hurt that you knocked me. Can you say I'm sorry? And she's like, no. She's like, no, I'm not apologizing. And Charlotte, literally Charlotte was like, you and your mansplaining. Like, oop.
Yeah. Oh, so Charlotte usually doesn't act out like this, and she was cursing.
She was cursing. I was like, you're fucking on my nerves. What is your fucking problem? And they were outside. They came outside. I was laughing. Oh my God, I was laughing so hard when the Wexleys were sitting there eating. This guy's sitting there, and then I go think we're those people that argue outside.
Have you had a moment like this? Like, I don't think I've had a big blow up fight like that outside.
I had in my 20s, yes. I've had a couple of times. Normally, I don't drag my business out in public.
Yeah.
I'm a private fighter. But no, in my 20s, I had a couple of times I did.
Yeah. Have you had competitive couple sporting matches?
I've never had that, girl.
The only thing I've done is miniature golfing. I've done some competitive couple,
There's miniature golf, really? They compare it as miniature golf.
Oh yeah, people get serious. Mm-hmm. You haven't played golf with me.
It's a clown hole or a zebra side or something.
It doesn't matter. I will try to get it in every. I'll get it in every hole.
Okay, Emily, I'm gonna keep that in mind. You're like, James, you want to go? No, that's okay, Emily. I'll be fine. I don't want to get. Because I can get competitive. No, I can. If I'm in it to win it, I can. Maybe we're gonna go do it.
I get very
I'll make it in one try, one putt. I'll make it
in the zone.
That's hilarious. But she's not apologizing. She's not apologizing. Then here comes a classic. I felt like a classic Sex and the City awkward moment. Steve and Miranda. It was so awkward. I was so uncomfortable.
Oh my God.
I was so uncomfortable, Emily. I was so uncomfortable watching
this. I was so excited for them at first.
Me too.
I was like, oh yeah, Miranda's trying. They're all gonna, they're gonna work it out. They're gonna and I was thinking, man, it's gonna be like this really hot scene, right? Like they respark the fire and all that. Yeah. No. I felt bad. Well, first of all, Miranda was trying to reenact something.
Yes, exactly.
That's a whole other thing. It's like, you're not going to reenact that with him.
Thank you. Yes.
And it just felt like they weren't really trying. They're moving through the motions. They didn't have any you gotta have some chemistry. You gotta work up to that. You can't just be like, hey,
Well, my laugh when he went to wash his hands first. I thought she was like, "You're ruining the moment." I could tell her face was like, "You're ruining the moment." I thought that was so funny.
First of all, I don't know what they had for dinner.
Yeah, so exactly. I'm
just saying, if it's anything spicy.
Yes, we gotta be a little careful.
Just gonna say it.
Yeah, yes, gotta be a little careful. This is a Sex and the City type show. We can't say it's a little. It would be a little itchy down there or something. Yes, and we did that. But I did laugh because her face was like, "You're washing your hands." Her face was like the spontaneity as we're losing it. And when he came back,
it kept going. It kept kind of going down after that. I was like, yeah, no, this isn't gonna happen.
I'm like, have you forgotten how to do it? I'm like, I'm like, come on, Steve, you've been a man for a long time. You forgot how to do it. I'm like, I mean, it was hard for me to watch. That's how realistic it seemed. Like I was watching two people literally couldn't get it on. Couldn't get it on. Because you're right. Miranda was trying to recreate Che. He was just like, what? Do what? I'll put away the dishes. Or like, hello.
Yeah, and then he like forgot how to do things, and it's like first you got to work your way up. You can't just like, right, yeah, no, I don't know. It just felt like they gave up too quickly too. Like they're like, okay, well, all right, let me go do dishes. It's like you gotta do better. Do better.
But I will say though, I think it was a real portrait of how life can be.
I think so. I mean, I think it's a really like, you know, important thing to show where, you know, they've been together for a really long time, and how do you like reignite that spark, and, you know, unsuccessfully, like, and people struggle with that. So, you know, I think it was a real life, you know, moment.
Yeah. That was good. And then the next cringeworthy moment, we go to Carrie on a date. Carrie on a date. Carrie on a date. Carrie on a date. So we meet up with, his name is Peter. And so at first it was realistic. I've been on first dates, and after a breakup, for me it was breakups or whatever, and you go on your first date, it's awkward. You're sitting there looking around. Okay, both look very nice. And then he brings up, it was his first date since his wife died. She brings up hers. And again, it was realistic to me. The whole thing, like, well, I guess, do we talk about it? So I guess they kind of did. You know, she had ovarian cancer. She mentioned a heart attack. And we really need some drinks. And then, and just like that, I mean, very Sex and the City moment. Very Sex and the City moment. Yes. What do you think about that?
Oh God, I don't know. I hate seeing people throw up. It's like one of my worst. Like,
oh, it is. Okay.
Like if I see people throw up, I throw up. So that's what I thought happened to Carrie. It's like, because he threw up first, and then I thought, oh, she saw it, and then she's gonna throw up. But they just had a lot to drink. But I kind of liked how awkward it was, because it's a realistic portrayal of like two people going on a date. They're not necessarily ready.
Yeah,
And I just felt like, it seemed like they had a good time. They stayed long enough to have enough drinks, and they were laughing.
They did. Oh, they were busting up. They came out busting up.
Busting out of their seams.
Yes.
So,
and then yes.
Yeah.
And
that was horrific. But honestly, it was not one of the worst dates Carrie has been on.
No, not at all.
So that's why I was like, maybe it was bad after Big passed. Like, that's a pretty bad first date. But in this whole history of her dates, it's not that bad.
No, I don't think so.
So when she kept bringing that up later of like, oh, this is the worst date ever, I was like, girl, you've had so many worst dates.
We saw them.
We've seen them.
Yeah, we watched them. Yeah, it was not bad. It was not that bad at all. And then it was time for the benefits. And Carrie we learned earlier in the episode, we learned that she's going to be an auction item. It's a lot of awkward moments there too. This time it was Anthony was the fourth. This time Anthony was there, and Anthony is hilarious, of course, mentioning that he shit himself on a date. And again, it was just like, what? I mean, and then he was a kid and this whole thing. So him being just hilarious. I have to do a side note. So they mentioned as one of the gifts, one of the auction items, Serendipity desserts. I have to mention to folks that I've been to Serendipity 3, which is in New York, on the Upper East Side.
I have too.
Yes, and also they have Serendipity in Las Vegas. Near the Caesars Palace. I've been to both, but the Serendipity 3, I want to say it's like 63rd and something. It's way up there. And they have the frozen hot chocolate, which they're famous for. It's my favorite. I love the frozen hot. You like thinking frozen hot chocolate? Trust me, Google it. It's good. Anyway, so you've been there too.
I have been there when I was working in New York. I would go there, and delicious. I remember their big sundaes. I'd get their big sundaes, and it would be like a big pile of extra hot fudge.
Sounds good. I know. Sounds good. So they mentioned that. As I saw that, I mentioned that. love Serendipity. Serendipity, you want to sponsor the show? I mean, I'm ready to do that. And send free coupons to your stuff. I'll take it. But so Peter's there. He's a teacher, so he's there clearly. We have that going on. Then we have Harry still upset she never said sorry. So we have that going on. But also on stage, Lisa does not use a microphone. That was hilarious.
First of all, okay, this made me so mad just as a performer or just as anyone who's been thrown into live events. You rehearse and anyone just hold the mic close to you. Like you rehearse and they would have told her that in rehearsal.
Yes.
I mean, I get it. Part of what they were trying to do is mirror Charlotte and her husband. I forget his name right now. Harry. There you go. They were trying to mirror, like, get them into a fight so that they can kind of see, look, all couples are going to have moments like that. So I felt like it was a well-rounded moment, full circle moment. But oh man, I was like, it was like a pet peeve of mine. I'm like, I was like him. I was like, put the mic near your mouth. Go.
That was hilarious. Like, but Shay is there. And Miranda was like, oh my goodness. And then and she had a little cheering section of straight chicks, little cheering section. And Shay goes up, this little routine was really funny, and mentions, well, I'll use her mic, so she ain't using it. Haha, it was kind of funny. And so they do a little routine, which was kind of fun. But Charlotte goes this whole tirade on how women always say they're sorry about everything. So I want to ask you how you felt about it, because you're a woman, and how you felt. I mean, you said sorry like 10 times before we got it. Like, always, like, so for you, she said she's tired of saying sorry to men. That was clearly a message to the world out there. But how did you feel that whole scene?
So I have mixed feelings about it. Because I 100% agree with Charlotte in the sense that women have this habit of apologizing for everything that we do.
Yes.
In work, with friends, with relationships. It's just what we do. It's like ingrained in us, right? We're even every little thing we're apologizing for. When you run into someone, you apologize. When you accidentally send the wrong thing, or you interrupt someone, you're like, oh, sorry. And it is infiltrated into how we interact with society. So it isn't like an ongoing thing that me individually, I try to stop myself before I say it.
Okay.
But I don't think it's always so. In Charlotte's point where she says, oh, we always apologize to men, I think that was a very targeted response. I think we do it just in general. And in her case, I think she could have just said sorry to Harry when, if I accidentally get, like, if I fall down or trip or something, or someone like my partner runs into me, they're going to say, oh, sorry. Sorry, hon. So I don't know why it was so hard for her to do it in the moment. I know she's stubborn, but she should have just done that. But I get they were trying to make a larger societal point.
Yeah, I feel that's what it felt like to me. It was like, just say you're sorry. I mean, like, because Harry's a good man. I mean,
totally. And he didn't like it totally. And he's a good person, and they're good together. But it was just a weird, like, overreaction from Charlotte.
Yeah.
Because this is really the first time that it, like, felt like it was placed in this episode.
Okay. Yeah. I thought so. Let me ask. I see Christopher and I picture George Washington. Yeah, when I see him on Bull. I don't know what that means.
Wait, what?
I know. Somebody was like Dolores or something. Dolores, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I see Christopher and I picture George Washington. Yeah, I don't know what that means. But anyway, so yes, that was a whole thing with that. I figured that was determined. But meanwhile, Shay and Miranda have then this is back to where you're upset, and she says what you said. Why don't you just DM me again? Like, why do you just say what you want? Like, why are you being so meek? Like, why is Miranda being like a schoolgirl? Like,
yeah, and like she never was like that. So That's why I'm so frustrated. I was like, she was never one to be quiet about things.
No, not at all. And that's what you said, basically. And she said what you say. Shay said what you said, basically. Why do you just, I get a lot. And again, as a person who, people tell me sometimes, well, I've sent you a thing. I go, I didn't get. If you don't send it to me directly or in an email, I have a lot of DMs. I got a lot of people because I'm on. Emily and both are in the public eye. We do shows. some of them are fans, some of them are weirdos, some of them, I mean, it's, I don't, and sometimes I have a lot, I don't get through all of them. I just don't, I try. Unless I know you. I mean, it's.
Yeah. I mean, we all get weird. You know, especially women online, we get weird.
Yeah.
So,
yes, I'm sure. So what she said made sense. I mean, it totally made sense with that one. And I was gonna ask what you want. Okay, so Lisa, Herbert has to leave. So we're backstage. Herbert's like, I gotta leave in the morning, fly out. Lisa recognizes she's awful. They get into a huge fight. Of course, like I said, it was a setup for Charlotte and Harry to walk in to see. And not anything, we're those kind of people who fight in public. That was great. Sorry, Christopher Jackson was on the original Broadway show of Hamilton. He also plays a character on this TV show. Oh, no, Bull the show. So Christopher Jackson, is he Herbert? Is that who he? I don't know. I don't know other people's names.
I think he's Herbert. Hold on.
Ah, how funny! I mean, I saw Hamilton.
Chris Jackson, right?
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. Now it makes sense. Okay.
Sorry, we were trying to connect the dots here. I'm looking at the IMDb page, checking the.
Good. Okay, good. I was like, "What? That's good."
I do like him in this.
Oh, he's good. Oh, he's really good. I was thinking, what do you say? He's really good, but he stays. And here's another awkward Sex and the City moment. Oh my goodness! Again, read the room, folks. They auction off Carrie, but the guy goes, "We're all married." I'm like, that makes total sense because it's a lot. Oh my god! The first one I was laughing. Sex writer Carrie Bradshaw. Like I write porn. And it's like I love they keep referencing. It makes sense. It makes sense how because in the past she was known as a romance relationship writer, but now it was Sex and the City. It's called Sex and the City. It was Sex and the City.
Yeah.
So that to me made me laugh. They always keep referencing that as her. She's like, I wasn't a porn writer.
And yeah, I know. She's like, I'm not writing porn.
Right. Oh my goodness. They started at $500. No one's but Biden. Charlotte tries something, but in the end, Peter, she does herself. And then Peter says, I'll do it for 1,500, 1,050. And they meet up outside, and it was really cute. It was really sweet.
Yeah.
Kind of like, we should do it again.
I had a feeling this was going to happen because it was so awkward. So like the fact that he was there, I was like, okay, there has to be a thing where like her date auction, it's gonna have a moment, right? But I liked how it unfolded where it got really awkward, and then he stepped in. He was like the knight in shining armor, and it kind of made me sad a little bit because Big was kind of always the person that saved her in situations.
Yes.
And then this was a moment where someone else stepped in and said, "All right, I'll take care of you for this moment." And that kind of bummed me out for a second. But then they had a really cute interaction outside, and they kind of were like, all right, let's forget about what happened. Let's move past it and try it again. And that's a big step. It's a big step for Carrie.
Oh, it was wonderful. But then back to old Sex and the City form. Che and Miranda have full-on sex.
Woo!
Intense, full-on sex.
Yeah,
Miranda's like, I'm in love. And she's like, okay. Oh, boys, you don't know who Peter is. You don't know what's going on. He said Peter's a scoundrel. Peter's a nice guy so far. We don't know anything about him.
Peter's nice. You're not watching it, Flobo.
You're not watching. You don't know what's going on. Yeah, Flobo.
You don't know. Peter's the nice love interest.
He's a nice love interest for her. He's very nice. You just don't understand. But Che and Miranda have some nice, I guess it's lesbian sex, or is it just female? No, it's not same GC.
It's just sex. It's just sex.
It's just sex.
It's just sex.
Just sex.
Yeah.
And Miranda's like, I'm in love with you. And she's like, no, I'm good at sex. As she said, I am good at sex. And he's like, yes, you are. I'm like, go on, girl. That's right. She's like, that's right, kids. He's like, I am good at sex. Mm-hmm.
I don't know about this. Like, I knew it was going to happen. The fact that, Shay was so forward at the party or at the auction, and then this had to happen. I think Miranda is in the honeymoon phase. I don't think it's true love. I think she just has not had a connection in years, and that's what she's missing. So I don't think it's necessarily the person.
Flo was like, we're two-way trusting about that dude. I mean, he could turn out to be something later, who knows? But so far, he lost his wife. He's a widower.
Wait, so do we think that he's making it up?
I don't think so. He's someone trying to start stuff. I don't think that at all. I think he's fine.
Lovo, don't start stuff.
Don't start stuff. I think he's fine. So we're not gonna listen to Flobo. We know what he's talking about. He's trying to start. He's a man. He's trying to mansplain things to us. What's going on there? And of course, at the end, and just like that, I found a glimmer of hope.
Yeah, and that's it. This was really, like, of all the episodes, I think this was the most buttoned up. It had the most moment, like it all made sense.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we didn't agree with everything, it all made sense.
Yeah.
And it worked. It's like finally all those episodes that we were like, what is happening? It paid off here in this one.
I agree. Miranda needs a sex therapist. Well, that's the point. I think she said they tried going to therapy. I think they said.
Well, they probably went to regular therapy, but not sex therapy.
That's to go to a sex therapist. That's true. But see, Miranda's too. See, I'll tell you, folks, when you get good sex, you're addicted to that, folks. I mean, when and Che was always in her, because we saw it. She was trying. It wasn't just she wanted to have sex with Steve. She was trying to recreate the sex she wasn't having with Che.
Exactly.
That's what was going on. So it wasn't because of Steve necessarily, but Steve has fingers. So they were like, okay, you can use it. If she create cake, I had a feeling it might work, but she'll be dreaming of Che. That's what I thought was going to happen. Where every folks, cover your ears. It was too late for you. When he was fingering her, I thought she'll go all of a sudden imagine it's Che doing it.
Well, I mean, she had so many like fantasies already. Like we've seen in the previous episodes, we've seen those flashbacks and stuff. So she wants to relive it. She obviously got like everything this episode. So I don't know what's going to happen.
So what do you think? I mean,
I don't know. I find it she's being irresponsible, first of all.
Oh yeah, number one, yes.
Number one.
Yes.
I think not only with her emotions, but Shay's emotions, and then now Steve is going to be affected. And she said they've tried therapy twice.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like she has to figure it out.
Folks, there's no glow here. You would know if it's been the pandemic. I've not had anything happen in the last 2 years. Trust me. So I'm single. I have nothing happen. I wish there was a glow in me. Trust me. I wish there was a glow. You would all know if something went down.
Are you swiping right? Swiping left? Swipe left?
I'm trying to swipe right. I'm trying to swipe right and see what happens. It's tough here in Los Angeles. I'm trying, but I'm like, trust me. If you know when I have a glow in me, you'll know. Trust me. So I'm saying, when folks get good sex, your brain goes on, because literally they say, it literally goes to your brain, it releases endorphins, you get hooked on that. So Emily is correct. She's making a big mistake kind of right now, playing with their lives. But right now, all she can think about is good sex. Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've seen it in the past where some, know, in the TV series, like you're using kind of this person as a tool, you're using them as a, to make you happy. But it's a short-term solution.
I know.
For a long-term issue.
She said
and that's what she needs to address.
Yeah. Emily said it.
And I'm just, and it's all good to enjoy yourself, but it's gonna have some bigger consequences.
Well, that's the thing. It's the whole thing of her and Steve should either separate or have that big talk that you said earlier first, and then she goes off with Chase somehow. I feel like it's messy.
Exactly. Like honestly, she should have. Miranda should be open with Steve, and who knows what happens when you're open with your partner? Because you never know what doors open.
I know
what's unlocked, right?
Because
Steve could be like, oh my God, that sounds amazing. And then maybe there's a threesome. Maybe there's a, something. I don't know. Liven up your sex life.
Exactly. We're talking long-term relationship. So we get it. They say it happens. So possibly Che coming into their bedroom could possibly reignite them. Now we might see that story. Now that could be the interesting story.
You never know.
Reunites them where they feel like, we still love each other. I think Miranda, she's not happy, but I think they love each other on some level. They've been together for so long. But
they have a child together. They've been together a really long time. They've been through, being sick and having, having job issues, like moving, like they've been through so much, right? Yeah. So you have to remember that. And it gets tough. long-term relationships are tough.
They are.
You got to think about all that stuff, and you'll still love that person. You just have to find ways to kind of make all that magic happen again.
I agree. And that's our episode. We're all doing therapy. It's our episode. And just like that, we have therapy session.
And just like that, we're done.
We're done. We're done. I'm glad you guys tuned in. Emily and I will be back next week. We always do this on Thursdays at 5 p.m., 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Pacific. It's all spoilers, folks. I didn't say the beginning. I just say the beginning. I have to say the beginning, but I'll put it in the thing in the description. It's all spoilers. So, folks, watch the episode first. Come watch us afterwards. Thanks for making our show a nice little hit here on JLJ Media. Emily May, where can they find you and your products?
You can follow me on all social media platforms at Emily May Heller.
That's right. Do it. Do it.
Follow me.
Follow her. Please. And don't ask her to say.
I'll post cuter pictures. I don't know. Just follow me.
And don't ask her to say sorry. We're all James Lott Jr. Sold at James Lott Jr. on all social media platforms. Tomorrow night, if you're so inclined, we're talking me, Full Voice, and Frank Rand are talking Marvel Universe on my show. I don't normally watch that. That's tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here on JLJ Media. Great title, right?
Perfect.